Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Grim the Lord of Salt here, and today I wanted to talk some more wrestling. Uh, a couple major events recently developing from World Wrestling Entertainment. First of which, another round of roster cuts. Of course, this hit hard for a lot of people. And WrestleMania 42 came and went, and pretty much stunk the house up. Although it depends on who you ask, of course. Some people like Night 2. I can't even watch wrestle. I can't watch WWE anymore, modern. I tried. I watched Elimination Chamber, and oh, it was so bad. I couldn't stand how bad it was. But yeah, I'm out of WWE, which is why the latest round of roster cuts doesn't bother me. You'd think it would because I like the Wyatt Six, but the fact that I like the Wyatt Six is why I'm glad they were cut. You know why? Because WWE was sitting on them. They did absolutely nothing with them. Okay, when you've only got 4 matches a night, what the fuck are you gonna do, right? It's got to be your top guys. They're the big draws. Put them in over and over again. So the rest of the roster gets left in pasture. The whole roster, they're not using like 70% of their fucking guys, and it's great actually because I was upset last year when they let Karrion Kross go. He had so much potential. Really should have been a top tier guy, but he's better off now. His non-compete should be over. I imagine he's back doing something. Let me check real quick. Oh, I've got 100 windows open. Yeah, they're better off now that they're gone. It's good that Aleister Black got let go because he's doing nothing now, right? Or he was doing nothing. And same with the Wyatt Six. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, well, they did what they could with the Wyatt Six." So, they ran their course. It's time to move on. They did nothing with the Wyatt Six. Absolutely nothing. So, yeah, it's their only chance of being featured and getting screen time is leaving and getting let go. And what really sucks is that the WWE sat on them as long as they did. Right? They kept these guys under contract for years, did jack of nothing with them. They had a little tag run for a couple of guys. Some great promos. We got some awesome promos from Bo Dallas and Nikki Cross. Really great stuff. Unfortunately, nothing ever came out of it. Damn shame. If you had guys like Karrion Kross, Aleister Black, and the Wyatt, you had so much potential with this group. What the really frustrating part is that WWE had them and didn't use them. That's the worst of it. Where they used Aleister Black the same exact way they used Karrion Kross. He was only brought out, he was paraded out to give people a boost before they went on to do main event stuff in their premium events, and that's it. No storylines, right? No big matches. Just he had good matches because all his matches are good, but we're not doing anything with you. You're a jobber. You're literally an enhancement talent. Okay? So you're better off anywhere else. But the other one downside is that WWE didn't use them or used them badly for years. And the other downside is the non-compete clause that's going to keep them under wraps for, 6 months to a year or something. Ridiculous that they can't find work elsewhere. Granted, they'll be happy because they're still going to collect that big WWE money for a while, that TKO paycheck, with Saudi Arabia supported, of course. But, yeah, it sucks that fans aren't going to see him. I haven't seen them. It's like they got signed by WWE and now they're on a hiatus, right? The worst thing that can happen to a professional wrestler right now is to get signed by the WWE, TKO, because you're fucked. Unless you're a celebrity, right? Unless you're represented by the guy that runs the company now, right? The agent, I forget his name. I don't care what his name is. He's not important. But unless you work for him and you get that plug like McAfee did, Pat McAfee, fucking punter turned sports announcer. Now he's fucking former WWE wrestler, also that he could get a boost for his fucking film career, on Netflix, if you want to call it that. It's all over the place. But yeah, basically, football player turned podcaster turned fucking chill. Yeah. And ruined a 20-year storyline developed between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. What a fucking shame. Like, talk about shitting on just everything. On all your fans, on your talent, on the industry it represents, and anyone ever connected to it. Two legacy wrestlers. Shitting on their parents, their grandparents. Oh my fucking god. To plug an asshole for a movie. Fuck TKO, man. This company's so far gone. I don't get why people are still fronting for it. I mean, it's up to you, right? It's everybody has different, whatever you enjoy, but I can't see how anybody could. I really don't. So I'm glad they got let go. It's only a shame that it's going to have to be a while before they can actually go back to work somewhere else. They're way better off on the indie circuit. The indie circuit's better in every way. Every indie feder I've watched, whether it's, what's the one, MLPW? No, that's too much. MLW, that's a big one. That's the one Karrion Kross signed back up for. He used to work there. Or whether it's OVW, which Al Snow's running, excuse me, or whether it's probably not TNA because they're currently kind of cahooting with WWE, so their wrestlers get poached. But you know, some of these guys end up in AAA, could end up in TNA. Anywhere's better, even AEW, and I don't like AEW either. You know, I don't. It's very much, to me, they're the same company, WWE and AEW. The only difference is AEW is a little less corporate because you got one guy running the whole thing. So at least, you know, you're not going to have quite as many ads shoved down your throat. I do have to watch some more modern AEW. I didn't like it back in the day. I don't know if I'll like it now. But I do have a bookmark because you can't watch the events back order. You have to catch it live. So I have to try to remember. I think it's Wednesday night and Saturday nights they're on. So if I'm at work, I got to try and tune in. That's the tricky part because I think it starts at 10. So that's right when I'm getting ready for work, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll see if I can catch some. Anyways, yeah, they're way better off anywhere else. And, yeah, that's the joke that WWE's become now. And I don't care how many people say, oh, well, they're making more money than ever. Of course they're making more money than ever. They're charging $1,000 a seat, right? When you're charging that much, yeah, you're going to make money. And especially when they've had WWE's always had a number of tricks when it comes to the whole, we're setting attendance records, we're sold out. One of the things they do is they give away a lot of seats, right? Because even if nobody shows up for them, right? If you win a seat in a contest or something and you don't want to go and you don't go and it's not a big deal, that still counts as a sold seat, you know, even if there's nobody in it. And that's one of just many tricks that they use to inflate their numbers, is giveaways. And also, of course, they're making money when they've got ads shoved in every single crack of the program that they possibly can. When it's covering the ring, all the arena dressing, the wrestlers' attires. It's like everything's a fucking NASCAR thing now, right? Just ads everywhere. And commercials, no matter how much you pay, it's more commercials. And barely any matches. It's horrible. And of course, you're making money for that. And you're also making money because you're backed by Saudi fucking Arabia. You know, so even if you operate at a deficit, they're going to foot the bill for you. So yeah, they're making record amounts of money because they sold out completely, 100%. But attendance is lower than it's been in over a decade. It's, well, not at the lowest. The lowest was, of course, COVID. But the attendance numbers never got back to pre-COVID rates. It's been getting progressively worse every year since. And 2024 was the worst year yet. A third of the attendance that they used to get in like 2019, 2018. Okay, so it's gone down that much in 10 years. But that doesn't matter, right? Because they're making money. Fucking A, man. Nobody's watching. And the people you do watch, you see empty arenas sometimes. Nobody's doing anything, you know? I mean, you could fake all the audience noise you want, but when you're looking at the crowd and they're just sitting there or on their phones or in a daze, you can't fake that, right? Until they get AI smart enough to auto-generate crowds. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to the Thunderdome style. Just say, fuck it, we don't need an audience, you know? Oh, God. Yeah, and if you... Some people still get it out of it, and again, I guess it's up to the individual. For me personally, though, like, I was talking to my friend, MDN Gaming, quick plug to one of the Death Kings. Feel free to check out his channel. He makes a lot of... he's got all the Final Fantasies are on his channel. He's played through them. He's got a 24-hour stream you can catch him on. He plays a lot of first-person shooters and some 7 Days to Die with the other Death Kings or his friends, of course. And he's an entertaining guy. It's always fun to watch. So make sure you check out MDN Gaming. I'll plug his channel below. But he was talking about how much he enjoyed Night 2 of WrestleMania, which is fine, you know, to each his own. And his favorite match was Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Because it was a nice long match. I meant to look up how long. I do want to look this up, guys. Give me a second here. Shoot. Let me just ask. It was 42. Half an hour. Holy shit. I thought 15 to 20 minutes, half an hour. He loved it. He loved the half-hour match. Nice, long match, great storytelling. He could be right. I'll never watch. I can't imagine a match I want to see less, because I can't imagine two wrestlers I like less that I would want to see. And I don't mean I don't like them like they're heels. I'm not supposed to like them. I mean, I literally don't like watching them. It's boring. Well, I'll say this much. I can't say for certain about Punk. I just never liked Punk's character. I never liked him behind the scenes. He rubbed me the wrong way, so I avoid him like the plague. So I can't say that his matches are bad. I can say that for Roman Reigns, because I've watched a lot of Roman Reigns. I've never seen a good Roman Reigns match. If you have a good one, by all means, let me know. I'll try and check it out. But, whatever of who he is, or how they work his gimmick, right? I've never seen him wrestle a good match. So... yeah, it's just, he's so overblown and boring. Flat out boring to watch. I've never seen an interview or a clip of him that I thought was good. And granted, I haven't watched a ton of live wrestling, but I've watched enough of him specifically to know that he puts me to sleep every single time. And I'm so tired of him. I don't... So a half-hour match between my two least favorite performers in the ring, I can't imagine a hell worse than that. I would rather be dumped down a well, forced to swim 5 miles upstream, neck deep in sewage, on Cinco de Mayo, a night when the whole town's been binging on tacos and burritos, so it's all diarrhea, all bile, with no protection, no goggles, no air tank, no nothing. I'd rather do that than have to watch half an hour of those two go at it. I would, honestly. So that's my take. Other people like it, that's fine. That's up to you. There's history there, okay? They've been at it a long time, I get it, and maybe someday I'll get a good, I don't know, maybe someday I'll be able to dig into that more. I do need to take another look at CM Punk's matches and see if there's something I'm missing about the guy, because I don't get it. But anyways, that's fine for him, but, I was talking about how much I hated modern matches because they're so damn long in the WWE. It's why you have a 4-hour, or not a 4-hour, a 2-hour Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and you get 4 matches, which is insane to me. That's all you fucking get, because the rest is promos, advertisements, and the matches themselves, which tend to run 10 to 15 minutes a piece. And I, of course, got invested in the Attitude Era. And, back then matches were 5 to 8 minutes on average. The main events would be longer, especially on pay-per-views. They'd had some nice long events, nice long matches. But, the week-to-week stuff was just to showcase the talent, to have more talent on there. Because they had bigger rosters, they were more active. And they wanted you to show everybody to have their little cut of it. And everybody had a little program that they were working into it. And it made everything more interesting. Right? We've only got 4 matches. Some guys doing some behind-the-scenes stuff. All of it's boring as sin. Right? And I can't get into it at all. I can't watch it anymore. I am glad that Netflix at least brought some of the rest of the library with them, a good chunk of it. I have been a fan of WWE's library. When they first posted it up on the WWE Network, I got invested. I was watching not just old, Attitude Era stuff, but ECW, WCW. I even liked watching the old territory stuff. Which is why I kind of started to discover where the kind of wrestling I like is. As I was watching all this stuff. They moved all that to Peacock, and then they kind of just got rid of it. And some of it's still just floating around out there. A lot of it's on YouTube, but Netflix has uploaded, the other Monday Night Raws, so you can finally binge through those, which is good. But, it's, I discovered where kind of my niche of types of wrestling I like. And the thing is, even as I was watching older territories, I liked pretty much everything except classic WCW, NWA, and even modern WCW. But it's different though. The classic NWA, Crockett Promotion stuff, great wrestlers and great matches, but there wasn't a lot of variety. Was my issue. It was a lot of grounded technical wrestling. A bunch of kind of generic white guys. All just doing their thing, and you get technically good matches, but they would run so long. And because the guys weren't that interesting, the matches to me weren't that interesting. It's interesting at first, but then it's okay, how many times are we going to do this stuff over and over again? Can we move on now, please, right? Because nothing else happens, it's just a match. You might get an interview segment here and there, and that's about it. But good matches as long as you're invested. But if there's no investment there, it feels kind of like a slog. You know, it's like, okay, can we get to the next one already? And I didn't have that feeling for any other federation, by the way. I watched old WWF stuff, even from the dreaded early 90s. The Superstars matches, the first runs of Raw, the old pay-per-views. And I liked them. I enjoyed those shows because brief matches, showcasing those matches, making sure they were good, and then moving on to the next one. Because when you've only got so much time and you're trying to make a good impression because you want the crowd to come back and see you some more, you put your best effort into that 5-7 minute match. You're going to go all out. And it's not going to drag on. Like a 10-15 minute, you're going to take your time, you're going to take some breaks. The whole pace slows down. But when it's right on the next, it's everybody at full speed and, boom, boom, high spot, finish, angle, on to the next. And WWE always did it that way. Even going back to the old WWF days, okay? It was still shorter matches, still a little more on the interviews and the presentation, and the variety, which is the other thing that modern wrestling and even like Jim Crockett stuff, and this includes AEW, is missing, is interesting guys, vastly different wrestling styles. You can have your over-the-top high flyers, you can have your hardcore brawlers and street fighters, you can have your traditional wrestlers, you can have your submissionists, you can have your luchadors, you can have your Japanese strong style. There's so many different styles, and Greco-Romans, and catch-can wrestling, and all this other stuff, that you can have a wide variety of talent with a wide variety of styles. I remember being impressed how even back in like the Ruthless Aggression era, when I was playing the video games, certain wrestlers I started noticing just had so many different ways of moving that even just something simple like a stomp or a punch was completely different if you were playing as The Rock or as Steve Austin or as Booker T. The way they moved, got in and out of the ring, punched, kicked, did basic moves. They had their own complete styles. And so watching each of them was so different. But nowadays, you could line all these guys up with the same moveset and you wouldn't tell the difference because there is none, right? That's why I like pretty much everything else. I'll brag up and down about how good AAA is, and thank God, even though WWE bought it, the TKO hasn't taken control of it. All I've heard was that they put Undertaker in charge, which is great because he'll preserve it, keep it the way it is, which is the way it should be, and it has been so far. It just occasionally has some WWE talent showing up in it, and that's fine because they have, even though their programs are only an hour long, they still have the same amount of matches, half the coverage of WWE with twice the content. So. But every wrestler in there, their presentation is so different. Everything from their entrances to the themes, to the way they move, to the moves they perform, to their finishes, and the angles are very basic, but they're still interesting. There's just enough in there to add an extra element, and that's perfectly fine. And it's great. It's fun to watch. It's enjoyable. And thank God Michael Cole's not commentating. That's another thing. I can't stand the sound of that guy's voice. It's been 30, 40 years now. He sounds like a chihuahua screaming at the top of his lungs all the time. I can't stand it. I never liked him. It's a tangent, I know, I'm sorry, but we're getting it all out there. Anyways, yeah, so I like AAA. More than I like Japanese wrestling. Well, little I've seen. I haven't caught up, but I do feel like old school Japan, like up to the 90s, even early 2000s, from what I hear, is better than what they do there now. But I can't say that I've actually watched enough of it to tell. And it is hard to find footage of Japanese wrestling on the internet, surprisingly. So, but I'm still looking into that. And but everything else I've seen, I like. The indie feds I've watched online. I've been watching a lot of Juggalo Championship Wrestling, which is run by the Insane Clown Posse. And I'm amazed that they're still at it all these years. It's still low budget, of course, which is fine. It suits the hardcore presentation that they go with. And, of course, they go with the carnival thing. They really embrace the circus side of professional wrestling. And people don't realize it always had that side, right? We had real wrestling way back in the Roman days, right? The Colosseum. And what people found out back then was that the real wrestling, when you've got two wrestlers who are really good facing each other, it's actually really boring. Because they just cancel each other's moves out all the time. And it ends up just two guys grabbing each other for, an hour on end. And that turns out not very interesting. Sweaty guys palming each other. So when Carnival started coming around years later, and they're like, wait a minute, we can do something like that. We can make it a story, a presentation. It's theatrical now, right? And that's when professional wrestling, as it is now, was created. And I think Vince always had a good appreciation of that circus carnival like side to it. It's kind of a freak show in it. He had the midget matches back in the day, and then the mud wrestling and all that. And he understood that there's different facets of it. It isn't just two guys, showing off all their great movesets. It's also, it's bigger guys like Andre the Giant. It's smaller guys like the midgets. It's stuff in between. It's high flyers and risk takers and fighters and brawlers and all that. It's a little bit of everything, right? And put in some karate, some mixed martial arts. Just throw it all against the wall, see what sticks, and make it a show. It's important to make it a show. It wasn't about some kind of preserving the essence, the integrity of the professional wrestling. It's supposed to be a show. It's supposed to catch your attention and hold it there and mesmerize you. It's not supposed to be a showcase of staged moves, right? Like, it's not about the choreography solely. It's a tent. It's a circus tent. So things like AAA and the Insane Clown Posse, they get that. They work that into their shows, and they do a great job of it. If you're tired of the characters in WWE, you want to see something interesting, hell, there's a guy named Luigi in JCW who's a pizza maker. That's his stick. He wrestles his matches while spinning a pizza. It's not a real pizza, of course, but he wrestles the whole match with one hand, or he shifts the pizza from one hand, or he uses it as a weapon. Kind of goofy, but it's still interesting. You'll never forget the guy when you see him, right? You're like, well, what the hell is this? It makes you laugh, but it's still fun to watch because it's a pretty impressive, really. So, and they just signed, Vince Russo just started working a deal with them. I don't know how much creativity input he has. I know Russo doesn't want to do the full-time booker or writer sort of deal, so he might just be, helping out from time to time like a part-timer. But just him being there, it seems like a perfect match because Russo was known for his trash TV approach, his smash mouth kind of a style to it. And I think that works extremely well for the JCW presentation. So I think that's a great union, and I hope they do better with it. And but all the other stuff, I watched some NWA, it was all good. I've watched TNA. Modern TNA is very good, despite being in cooperation with WWE, and that might be a downplay of it because they are losing talent. They're losing their talent, getting scalped by the WWE. But that's fine too. Eventually those guys they're not going to make it all the way. Joe Hendry's never going to main event for WWE, so they'll steal him for a while, they'll get some laughs, and then eventually he'll have to leave and come back. The way the Hardy Boys did, right? They were supposed to get signed by WWE, didn't happen. Back to TNA, right? I think not Dolph Ziggler. Maybe it was Dolph Ziggler. No, I thought he left and went to JCW. They were talking about him. Maybe he was just making a special appearance or something for a JCW event. But yeah, it's anything else is better, really. And I still have to take another look. But like I said, I didn't like AEW because it is more of the same. It is. It's the presentation's different because there's less ads. The production's maybe not quite as good, but it's still that modern wrestling. It's still that finishers don't mean anything. Let's just rip off as many moves as we can in as many spots. That seems like the modern wrestling approach is. We want to focus on our high spots, have lots of spots, have lots and lots of finishing moves, totally destroy the integrity of the finishing move. And I am in with that crowd. The finish should have been preserved, I think. It's along with kayfabe. Because the death of these concepts, I think, has, it ruins the show. I stated before, I think, in a video, once you know how the magic trick is done, you don't go back to the show. It's not the same anymore, right? It's not as interesting. You could even say the same about like a video game that's a puzzle game. Once you know how to solve the puzzle, it's not as fun to play the game anymore, right? It's not as much fun to watch Breaking Bad when you already know where it's going and what happens, right? It's still a good show, but not nearly as good as that first impression was. And I think now that the curtain's fully pulled with things like WWE Unreal and all the other stuff going around, it's just not as it's not as interesting as it used to be. You know, you now that you're acknowledging it's just a production, and you're doing these, you know, these after show scrums or whatever, and you're trying to, you know, giving away behind the scenes stuff right away. Uh, it's like, well, why bother watching then, right? Where's the interesting part? If you know what's going to happen, do you even care where it's going? Yeah, so that's just my takeaway on all this. And of course, the more you get deeper into this whole stuff with the whole Pat McAfee getting in on the WrestleMania thing, and of course, it's really just because TKO wants to use the WWE to promote their people, you know, so that they can promote their movies and their TV shows, and he's going to be on Tulsa King, you know, and he's got his movie coming out and whatever. So they're using WWE to promote that. So obviously there's obviously no respect for WWE and TKO, which is, you know, it is what it is. And I kind of expected it when I heard they were sold, because I know that TKO, being that they run the MMA, UFC, there's within the fighting community, there's never been any respect for wrestlers, for grapplers in general. They see them as like the worst kind of fighting style, which is interesting because whenever they cross paths with a wrestler IRL, it doesn't end well, you know. And in fact, the reason why UFC fighters rank themselves above martial artists specifically is because of their grappling, you know, because it makes such a big difference if you can not just block a move but grab the guy, and now you know how to use your leverage and your weight to tie them into knots and break their bones. It makes a big difference. But at the same time, they won't acknowledge where that grappling comes from. It's wrestling, real wrestling, of course, not the promotional, the professional wrestling. But still, and even though, you know, Brock Lesnar came in and ran through them all, they still don't acknowledge what difference it makes. And so without respect to the business of where it's been and what it represents, you can't successfully run it. You're just going to run it into the ground, and they're pumping in money into it and using it just as basically an ad for their other stuff, their other projects. So it's like a weaker branch of Hollywood for them, you know. It's the entry level. WWE is the entry level for TKO stars now. That's what it is. Yeah, and and yeah, that's what got us here. And so I feel bad for any actual good wrestlers in there, because they're never going to make it through. They're going to get like LA Knight and Dolph Ziggler before him. They're just going to hit that glass ceiling, because the old men that are in charge, that have been there forever, are just going to keep going, because it's so safe now. Nobody retires. They just keep coming back, so you keep seeing the same rivalries. They were building up that feud between freaking Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, and both of them got injured. Braun's new, so it was an accident, but Seth, you know, gets injured a lot because he's an older guy and he should be retired, and he's not, because they just keep coming back. So their top guy is Punk. Was hurt for a while. They had to sideline him a little bit for a while, and they can't use him full time anyway. So, and AJ's gone, and of course, John Cena retired. Brock Lesnar just retired at WrestleMania. All they've got left from the OGs, from OVW, is Randy Orton. He's not going to be around too much longer. He's looking a little rough. Him and Cody feuding was supposed to be a big point of their careers, and they ruined that, TKO, for advertisement purposes. And it's going to keep going like that. People are worried the next WWE game is going to have an awful roster and be a huge step down because of all the releases. Well, 2K26 was a huge step down. Partly because of releases, and partly because they're focusing entirely on the monetization features of these video games now. They don't care about the roster. They don't care about the legends. They don't care about the game modes, right? The showcase isn't going to get any better. Neither is my Rise. Neither is WWE Universe. They're going to stay the way they are now, and the way they have been. And all the focus is going to go into the island and My Faction and whatever else they can add to add more things you have to buy to play the game, like these fucking season pass things. Oh my god, having to grind matches to unlock content you paid for. Oh my fucking god. If I wasn't quitting before, that would have been the death of it for me. I was reluctant getting 2K25 in the first place because of stuff like the island and My Rise. or not my rise, but the island being so bad, and I hated my faction and everything that represented. But they came in with a great roster because of the Bloodline showcase. There is no great showcase in 2K26. They have the CM Punk showcase. It's probably worth it if you're a huge Punk fan. But given how many wrestlers were cut in the lead up to that over the years that didn't make it in, that aren't going to be represented in that anymore, yeah, I can't imagine that it's even that good. The other ones weren't good either. They haven't been. What's the CM Punk showcase like if you compare it to the Daniel Bryan one from a few years back, right? Which one holds up better? I get the feeling the Daniel Bryan one does, because there was like 30 matches in that showcase. But the CM Punk one's probably got like, what, maybe half a dozen? Maybe 12? Maybe. That's pushing it. So, yeah, I'm not terribly invested in those. I'm done with the games until something big comes along, and I don't think anything will anytime soon. Yeah, I'm happy with 2K25. I'll sit with that. I'll get the mods that come out. Hopefully some mods do, because they haven't yet, which is kind of surprising. 2K24 had some mods out by now that were really good looking and were still in the works. None of those mods came back for 2K25, so I don't know, but I'm still just happy to stick with it. I don't need another wrestling game for now. But yeah, TKO has ruined it, and Saudi Arabia is going to keep fronting the bill. It's just going to keep going the way it goes because it keeps making money, and that's all they care about. They don't care if there's no fans showing up. They don't care if nobody's getting featured anymore. They don't care about anything. So I think WWE is a sinking ship. I don't know if it's gonna. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where they can't make enough money on it. Even with all the ads, even with Saudi Arabia footing the bill, eventually it's going to be too much, and TKO is just going to shut it down. That's the bottom line. They might keep the library. They might sell it. They will probably sell it. They might even split it up, which would be a real shame. I imagine we'll lose content. There's some of that footage that's going to be gone forever. And that's a shame, because if there's one credit I'll give to Vince McMahon when he first took over the company and started pillaging all the local territories, he took their libraries, their footage, when he did so, and he held on to it. So when that WWE Network went up, and now the WWE Vault YouTube channel's re-uploading a lot of it, there's a lot of great old school footage there, and all of that's going to be lost eventually, I think, is going to be the real crime here, because I think the company's done as a company. I don't think it's ever going to get good again, unless somebody else buys it from TKO. I don't see that happening. Anyone coming in with more money would just be doing more of the same. Oh, of course, rest in peace, Ted Turner, by the way. He passed away recently. I can't say I knew the guy personally or anything. Obviously, I'm a WWE guy from back then. But I don't have personal issues with Ted Turner. He was a fan, and he wanted to compete with Vince, and it was good for the industry, actually, at the time, even though it almost shut Vince down. In the WWE, when they were, in my opinion, in a good place. So he was a competitor, but I still respect his contributions. He allowed a lot of good stuff to happen, even if he wasn't directly involved with it, even if it was just a big wallet at the end of the day. They were still better at managing. Even WCW's worst is still leagues better than what WWE or AEW offer today, I think. I'd much rather go back, and I do sometimes. I go back to the year 2000, 99 WCW, and it's still so much better than anything you'll see today. Yeah, so it's good that these guys were let go, because they have a chance to shine now. I kind of wish somebody else would be able to pick up, because, like I said, AEW isn't hitting it right for me, so I kind of wish somebody else would hit that mid-range promoter deal and start giving us some good wrestling again, because I feel like there's easily a whole roster or two right now that's just not being utilized, and they're left to struggle in the indies, making bottom dollar. I think if somebody came along, made a new federation, and had proper leadership behind it, they'd have a good chance of making some buck, and at least bringing things back to giving you something to watch, aside from scrounging around these indie feds that have 1 hour events here and there. We're watching old footage from 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, so anyway, that's my take on it. I hope you guys found this video interesting. Just a loose, off-the-cuff video, and we got more projects in the work. I did start back on the WWF retro wrestling content. I got Raw done. I'm going to start working on WrestleMania the arcade game, and There Goes the Neighborhood next. Already proven to be way more difficult than I remember it being, but it is what it is. I am going to work on that, and Digimon's going to come back for some more too. I know it's not as popular, but I like Digimon. And I'm looking forward to one day getting the new game and getting into it, and until then, these games are long. They're 50-hour games, so I can milk these games for a while and just have fun playing them. And some people will enjoy it, which is worth it too. So, all that's content that's coming out. Till next time, this is Grim signing off saying, stay salty.